Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today we're going to do a Reddit post and the comments. So let's see. We're going to go behind enemy lines into their space and see how they talk when they feel like nobody else is around. So, how to deal with internalized fat phobia. I've never been thin. I've looked like the Venus of Willendorf since I was 13, and I felt like that's when I stopped being a kid. I know I referenced a Venus. That's the problem here. Reading my childhood journals, I realized that fat phobia was carved into my brain from a young age, and I hate it. I know the brain isn't stone, but it sure isn't sand. I need help getting rid of the fat phobia in myself. So I find this interesting just because I want to know how. I want to know, like, were you constantly told that being fat phobic was the way of life or something? Like, how is it carved into your brain? Was it something that was carved into your brain, or was it something that was naturally there? Was it something that you naturally felt? That's a tricky question. It's tricky to say. A lot of people argue one way versus the other. In terms of obesity, I tend to think it's probably more biological. It's probably more innate in terms of not finding it as attractive, especially at a certain point. So I don't know how fat this person is or how deep it went. But in terms of this whole thing, I would like to know how it was carved. So I wish they would explain things, but they just say that. And I guess everybody's just supposed to accept it and understand it and just take it with no questions asked. I don't. I'm like, what does that mean? Because it's not clear. Day to day, I generally feel disgust if I catch a glimpse of myself in photos and sometimes in the mirror. If I never encounter my image, I don't care so much how I look. Okay. This is giving slight ED behavior. It's not good. This person's either struggling with something or they're at serious risk. That's not a good sign. Putting on clothes feels like a minesweeper. A single item of clothing can set the OMG I'm fat bomb to go off, and I just want to cry and hide. I understand the idea of healthy at any size, but I just can't accept that that could apply to my body. I'm not healthy. Look at the self-gaslighting. Whoa. This is somebody who is trying to not get it. It's very sad. And the ways that I'm not healthy are fixed by weight loss. Oof. They know, and they're trying to actively deny it. That's pretty wild. I struggle so much with shame because I don't know how to navigate body positivity with health issues. I do accept the idea that my genetics are not going to get me to skinny. None of my family are naturally that thin. That's sad. So I don't know if skinny matters, but healthy matters. None of my family are naturally that thin. Again, what does that mean? Naturally. I want us to really look at the words that they're using. Naturally. So is your diet natural? Is your lifestyle natural? Are the times natural? Are things naturally happening in your life? Or is other stuff going on? Are you having super palatable foods? Are you experiencing ED-related behavior, like hating every single glimpse of yourself, even in photos and the mirror? You know, is that natural? Right? These things put strain on this area of life. There's some psychological issues, in my opinion, going on. And to just reductively say that it's fat phobia is not smart, in my opinion. Okay. Especially when it's affecting your physical health and you know that it could be fixed by weight loss. This post is pretty weird. Okay. Even those that don't hold on to weight like me. Okay, none of my family are naturally that thin, even those that don't hold on to weight like me. We're just bigger people. I'm okay with that. BMI be damned. But I'm unhappy. I frequently feel trapped in a body I didn't sign up for. Ooh, ouch. I am angry and disappointed in myself that I can't seem to do anything to change my life or my body to have a better time. And I feel like I'm just going to be another one of my family members who is condemned to a life where I'm stuck in bed from debilitating pain and praying for the money to afford medication. This is sad. I only have one damn life, and I feel like I'm wasting it hiding from the world, afraid of being fat and exhausted and in pain in public. I don't need to feel beautiful. I just want to feel good and capable at existing as a body. I don't want to work so hard to make myself presentable enough to feel confident going outside. My self-hatred and disgust need to go. I don't want to think like this anymore. This is somebody who is deeply confused. Deeply, deeply, deeply confused. I can understand, especially a young person caring a lot about appearance. I totally get it. But the bigger concerns are not being healthy, being scared of a cycle continuing, and being another one of your family members stuck in bed from debilitating pain due to weight issues that she admits are fixed by weight loss. So tell me how this movement is not horrific, deadly, etc. She's trying to ask people to encourage her to stay that way. So let's see what people say. Rabbit Hole Media. I'm going to read the username. Name them. No, I'm just kidding. I won't say any other names. I'm a size 24/26. I'm 40 years old. Years ago, when I was 24 years old, I've noticed this too. There's a lot of older women that encourage younger women in this movement. And it's very, very, very evil to me. I don't know how else to say it, but to me that reads evil. Years ago, because they probably know better in my opinion. Years ago, when I was 24 years old, I lost a lot of weight. I was still unhappy and insecure and empty. I realized that it's not about how I look outside, but how I feel about myself on the inside. I needed to heal my relationship to myself. So this, in and of itself, is not necessarily terrible advice. I try to encourage people, especially with an ED history, to just not think about their body all that much or not make it so important. I think it's okay if you joke about it once in a while, but if it's like you're really starting to fixate, you shouldn't. I don't think it's good. But in terms of like, I'm losing weight because I want to feel better about myself, I don't necessarily know that that will work. I think if you truly hate yourself, then it's not necessarily going to fix all your issues. But I can say that physical health is incredibly linked to mental health, and the act of taking care of your body can increase self-love. So it is still relevant in terms of getting this feeling better about yourself effect. The key is to not tie your self-worth to your size. You are beautiful and worthy of love, adoration, and respect just for existing, period, forever and ever, amen. Okay, I don't agree with all this. I do agree with this one. So I do believe that everybody is worthy of love. That I do believe. I don't think love is earned. I don't think love should be conditional. That I do believe in 100%. Everybody being beautiful, not necessarily. Everybody being adored, for what? No. Respected, no. No. To me, beauty is more of a gift that not necessarily everybody gets. Adoration and respect are earned. You don't get it just for existing. So that's wrong. For me, it started when I started to look at myself naked in the mirror when I got out of the shower and literally tell my belly, my rolls, all the parts of me that I wanted to hide, that I love them. It sounds silly and it felt silly at first, but over time it helped. Over time, I started to believe it. I just am cringing so hard. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of that and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I don't necessarily agree, but whatever. I stopped hanging out with people who had fat biases. Okay. So I cut people out of my life and started hanging out with people who genuinely love me and see me and themselves and other fat people as beautiful. Okay. So in order to feel better about yourself, you had to enter into a CULT. So people who disagreed with her. Jeez. All right. I think if your self-love is based in only being around people who agree with you on everything, it's probably not that strong, in my opinion. But whatever. I started following social medias of other women. So basically, I brainwashed myself is what I'm getting. I started following social medias of other women who look like me that dress the way I want to dress. I started wearing things that I like and showing skin when it is hot out. I realized that if I show skin and I am comfortable wearing things that fit me properly, not forcing myself to cover up when it's too hot for that, no one else will notice or care, and if they do, it's to tell me I'm cute. I decided that I'm a hot girl and I'm fat, not in spite of it. Okay. I don't know who decides if you're hot or not. You guys need to let me know what you think about that. I feel like typically somebody else decides if you're hot, but I don't know. Maybe that's just cynical Alex. Who knows? I started taking care of myself, like getting my hair and nails done, okay, having a skincare routine, etc. But you wouldn't take care of your diet or your weight or exercise. So again, you'll take care of yourself, but only in certain ways. And I stopped looking for validation from other people, okay, and started validating myself. I started self-therapy, okay, and then when I could afford it, I got into assisted therapy, okay. When I eat, I try to pay attention to how I feel rather than if it's healthy or unhealthy. Do I feel sluggish or do I feel energized? Am I eating because I'm hungry or am I eating out of emotions or boredom? Am I properly hydrated? I don't judge myself for having junk food. I accepted that healthy foods are delicious too, but they will never be ice cream or burgers. And I try to just enjoy them for what they are. Okay. Some of this I agree with and some of this I don't. So let me see. This is important, especially in terms of ED behavior, BED. This would be a very important question to ask. So I make sure that personally for me, the only reason I eat is that I'm hungry. It's within my caloric allotment. And if I need to eat more, it's because I'm either hungry or tired. So I will eat if I'm really tired because I need to still function. To me, that's acceptable because it's still a physical reason. If I'm hungry, very hungry, if my hunger's over a 2, then I may end up eating. If it's like a 3 or a 4 or a 5, then I'm probably going to end up eating. But it's hunger. It has to be physical hunger and never out of emotions or boredom. That's never okay. Never. Okay? Am I properly hydrated? Like, this is fine. These questions are fine. I don't judge myself for having junk food. So I think this depends on the person. So if you're relatively healthy, you can probably handle something every once in a while. If you're not, then it really depends on what you're having. Because it's the same thing of like if you have a cirrhotic or fatty liver, for example, you wouldn't want to drink and you should judge yourself for drinking. Does that make sense? Because you're not in a state where you can do it. It's similar to having fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver, hypothyroidism, whatever, all the other stuff, diabetes, all these different things, right? So you need to be careful in terms of this, depending on your physical state. If you're relatively healthy, you can probably handle it. So I wouldn't necessarily judge all the time. I accepted that quote unquote healthy foods are delicious too, but they will never be ice cream or burgers. So I don't believe that ice cream or burgers are necessarily unhealthy. I think what matters is the amount, because the actual ingredients in these things I don't think are bad. But the amount can be bad. So how much? How much? That's where I have a question. Okay. How many calories are you eating in general? That's a huge question. And I try to just enjoy them for what they are. I stopped eating diet versions of things and just let myself indulge when I feel like it. I take my time when I eat and I really focus on enjoying it. When you take away the stigma of healthy versus unhealthy foods, it makes it easier to choose more fruits and veggies. This doesn't make any sense. This is wrong. I don't think you need to have stigma, but this does not make it easier. That doesn't make any sense. It would, at best, have zero effect, in my opinion, because you're not saying that anything is better or worse. So I disagree completely with that statement. Moving when I feel like it because it's fun, even if it's 5 minutes to get up and dance by myself to a song I like and not as a punishment for being fat or eating certain foods. I just can't imagine thinking that getting up and dancing for 5 minutes is exercise. That's just so extra to me, but whatever. I guess we all start somewhere, I guess. I still struggle with things, of course I do, but I'm learning to let go and just live for myself and enjoy my life more. And I definitely stopped giving a fuck about what other people think because life is too short not to be happy and live my best life. Okay, this is really bad advice and very tone deaf because she literally said that she was unhappy. So, I don't get it. You only have one life. Ask yourself, do you want to spend your limited time being sad or do you want to wake up excited to be alive? I want to know your guys' thoughts on that. So, to me, I think this is a good question about like, do you want to lose weight and get to a healthy weight? Like, do you want to spend your limited time in your life being sad and unhealthy? Or do you want to wake up excited? Or do you want to just feel better? I don't think it's a fair question either because most people don't wake up excited to be alive either. Like, most of life is routine and kind of boring. So I think it's a lie, honestly. Let me see if this was OP that responded. No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know how Reddit works. Oh, AV bug. No. Okay. So let's see what this person said. Probably like, it's amazing. Yeah. Yes to all this. Piggybacking on this, OP, when I'm depressed or lacking in motivation, I go to YouTube and listen to music that pumps me up. Maybe you have mobility issues like I do. Dance while seated, air guitar, tap your fingers to the beat. Maybe when you start to feel better, if you have fingernail polish and body lotion, start to pay attention to different parts of your body. You don't have to give yourself a whole mani-pedi. You could shape your nails today, paint them tomorrow, etc. And yes, definitely chew your food slowly. Okay. I'm pretty neutral about that. I'm sorry to hear about your struggles. I've had plenty of similar feelings and experiences as you and had to change how I narrated my relationship with weight and health. One of my absolutely best things in my life was to separate health goals and weight loss goals from each other. When my focus was 100% weight loss, I went between extreme restriction and over-exercising to exhausted binges, rinse, wash, repeat, or rinse and repeat. Yes, this is an ED. This person has a history with that. I had to change how I viewed my health and my body for the sake of my health, mental state, and social life. I started to view health as my main goal. I think that's really good. So I had to do that too in terms of my BED. That was a huge part of my recovery. It had to be not about image anymore because for a lot of ED, it's very image related. And so I couldn't think about it anymore in terms of like, I hate my body or I hate the way it looks. I had to think about health as the goal. And I had to go 1.5 years without pursuing weight loss to get my health better. So I can agree with this. Now I love exercise for the sake of it. It makes my body feel so good and brings me energy. I don't agree with that. I'm just kind of whatever about it, to be honest. I need to do it for the sake of dopamine because I go really restless now if I don't. So I need to. Whether I'm loving it for the sake of it, my body needs it. So I will do it. My diet is getting closer and closer towards a balanced diet for women of my age, height, and lifestyle. I still bake or have foods with high calorie density, but building my diet around vegetables, rye, oats, foods with protein and good fats. Okay, I would have an issue with that. That might be seed oils. Makes my body physically feel better and creates positive cycle that allows treats that actually feel like treats instead of something to be ashamed of, like I did before. That sounds very positive, though. So I think this is all very positive changes. As a result of these changes, my size has been slowly and steadily getting smaller, and my health is light years away from what it was at my largest. I don't know my weight due to ED history and risk of falling back into restrict and binge cycles, but my doctor, joints, and energy levels make it clear that I have lost nice amounts of weight, or that I have lost a nice amount of it without even focusing on it. That's very interesting. Yeah, I was saying too, I think a lot of this advice is good because even this, especially to start with, it's really helpful for somebody with BED, especially in the beginning. It's very helpful. That really helped me. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I hope that she can sustain it, and I hope that she continues to lose to get to a healthy weight. That's all I care about, honestly. If I were you, I'd try to figure out what kind of exercise makes you happy and can become a pillar of your lifestyle. That way you can focus on loving things your body can do and how it feels instead of how it looks or how much it weighs. Yeah. I think it still matters, though, just because of the health aspect. But for me, the goal is to get to a point where I don't have to think about how much I weigh because it's not an issue. So I don't completely agree with that, but I understand. Finding suitable diet, as in lifestyle or of balanced eating habits, not as in a diet culture way, will bring you more energy and help to meet your body's needs. But it can be a very long journey since what kind of foods, portion sizes, and eating cycle suit is so different from person to person. So give yourself grace and love while learning what suits you most. Taking care of your body is an act of love, and you deserve that love. Yeah, so this one wasn't too bad. Actually, I would agree with a lot of this post. There are very, very few things that I didn't agree with. So, very interesting. One of the first things I did when I discovered fat acceptance was start curating all my social media to see fat bodies more than other types. Very interesting. This was when Tumblr was still really active and I started following lots of fat fashion blogs. I don't use that really anymore, but I moved the process to my Instagram account and follow tons of fat influencers and activists, as diverse an array as possible. I couldn't even tell you the names of any non-fat influencers, LMAO. Seeing bodies like mine living their best lives and looking good really helps. I'm not saying I never feel bad about myself, but it definitely shifts my perspective. That said, I get how health issues can exacerbate internalized shit. I have lipedema, and even when I know that my pain is coming from a disease, I still have to hold my brain back from the maybe if you weren't so fat, your legs and knees would feel better crap. Also, most things that are fixed by weight loss are more fixed by making lifestyle changes regardless of whether you lose weight. This is not true. Absolutely false. So I always list 2 examples that are very strong. My hypothyroidism is absolutely affected by my weight. Obesity causes increased estrogen, and estrogen opposes thyroid hormone. So this is completely false. A fatty liver is also closely related to being obese and being overweight, especially obese and morbidly obese and beyond. Non-alcoholic fatty liver is really tied to an overconsumption of calories. And so it's really important to lose weight, to address it. So that's another health issue I have that is fixed by weight loss. I think the last one is obesity-related hypoventilation that I still have. That also is only fixed. That's the only way to fix it is to lose weight. So this is completely tone deaf and totally wrong. So I think that this person is completely wrong. Okay. Let's see. It takes practice to learn to love yourself, be patient and kind to yourself. It won't happen overnight. It takes a minimum of 25 consecutive days to learn a new skill and habit. Okay. Could you learn to get your diet and exercise under control and eat in a slight caloric deficit in 25 days, or no? Interesting. I feel like this is a feeling, okay, this is another person. I feel like this is a feeling that will sneak up on you no matter how much you change your perception. That evil little voice will always sneak up on you in your darkest moments, but there are coping techniques to make it easier. So that's not true for me. I don't care that much. There are times where I feel very insecure about my body. But it's just in terms, I've always said it's in terms of dating. It's in terms of like that kind of thing. You know, it's not just in general. Like, I don't look at my own body and be like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't really do that ever now. Because I don't really, there are moments sometimes, like when I see signs of looser skin, or, you know, when I wonder how much there will be, or those kinds of things, it can be a little bit of a trigger for me. But it's not like a hugely pervasive thing in my life, if that makes sense. So overall, I'm doing pretty well in terms of that. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's just, it's kind of like, it's definitely a beast that you have to feed. Does that make sense? It's one of those types of things. So if you don't feed it, then it really weakens a lot over time. And I think a lot of people that struggle with body image, they don't realize how often they're feeding that beast. You know, if you're really ruminating about it, if you're staring at the mirror, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, like I try to minimize all that behavior as much as I can. And I try to just especially encourage people that have this issue to not think about their body that much, or to minimize it as much as possible, because that's really helped, especially during weight loss, especially during significant weight loss. You guys have to remember, I've lost almost 100 pounds. Currently, I've lost 96 pounds of fat. So it's like I have to not think about it, or I can get too weird, especially when I was bigger. I'm getting more used to it now, but it is a lot. Like, it's a big difference. So I'm just saying, if I was constantly focusing on my body and how it looked, I would feel some kind of way. Okay? So I don't. That doesn't mean I never think about it. It doesn't mean I never have that moment, but it does mean that it's so much less. And if I don't feed that beast, then it starves, essentially. Okay. In my opinion, not being a professional, you have a few options. You can learn to be happy with yourself. Focus on the things that you like about yourself. These things can be about your appearance, talents, personality traits. You can like the color of your eyes, your smile, your sense of humor. Are you a good artist? Maybe a dancer? Focus on those things first. The only thing that you cannot add the only thing is that you cannot add the word but at the end of these sentences, such as I have pretty eyes, but they would look better on a thinner face. But is a bad word. Okay, interesting. I don't know if that would have helped me. You see, the thing that I've learned too is I feel like just not thinking about yourself that much helps a lot. Because I used to really think about myself a lot. And it was when I was so focused on myself that I had most of these issues. And I don't anymore. I don't sit and ruminate about my qualities anymore like I did when I was younger, and I'm a lot happier. So I don't mean to be like rude, but it might be better to just think about bigger things, or think about things that are kind of beyond yourself. Whether it's something religious, political, communal, community service, or something. Like, there's a lot of different things to think about. Even if it's just hobbies and interests, I mean, that really helps too. Like, even if it's just learning more about other people, listening to other people's lives, that kind of stuff, it's like, it takes pressure off of such an intense self obsession, you know, which I think for me personally, that rumination about myself, it definitely contributed to my EG, 100%. And part of my recovery was to stop. So it just depends. I don't think this is good advice for everybody, but which they said that they're not that way, but I don't think that this would have helped me at all. I'll just say that. If it would help you, maybe it would, but it wouldn't help me whatsoever. Find things to be grateful for. I think this is really good advice. Good friends, loving family, the flowers that grow at the park, whatever it is you're thankful for, find them. The goal is to fill your life with positive energy. I think that's a good idea. Come up with a personal mantra for the moments that the negative thoughts pop in. I am strong, powerful, smart, capable, etc. person. Fill in adjectives you want to be described as. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. That one I don't feel like would help me, but whatever. It's too cheesy to me, I guess. But that could just be me, but I really think it's really cheesy. Surround yourself with positive people who like you for you. Okay, I think that's a good idea. This is important. Anyone with a negative opinion about you who doesn't support you, cut from your life. Okay, that's a bit much. I think everybody has a negative opinion about everybody. So I think that's stupid. This doesn't mean people who only think like you, that this is about negative trolls who only bring you down. Okay. You want a support group, whether it be friends, family, or random netizens. That's not terrible. This is okay. Keep a positivity journal for something. Keep a positivity journal, something for you to look back on to remind yourself you are more than your weight. I would consider burning your old journals because they're from a bad time in your life, and you don't need that now. At the very least, the pages that give you self-doubt. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think it's good to rewrite history like that, in my opinion. Another option is to change yourself into someone you like. This is just as hard as the above mentioned because both are changes. One is change of thought and this one is a physical change. But on this note, you have to ask yourself if you will really be happy. The grass is not always greener on the other side. I will say for me, I am definitely happier. Like, for me, in terms of the weight loss, I think I have just even barely scratched the surface of how much happier I have yet to be. But I took this process very seriously and I do it very deeply, and I'm allowing everything to change. So it's not even just the physical self that's changing, it's everything. You know, especially since I was broken up with, over the past year, I have changed my perspective on relationships so deeply. And I actually have hope that things will be good in the future for the first time in my life. I have hope for my next relationship. I think it will be a good thing. And that's wouldn't have been possible without the weight loss. So I'm just going to keep it real. I think it's been so helpful. Like, I am so much happier. And I'm not even that happy, but this spring, I have really hit a new level where I feel so much happier. It takes a long time sometimes. Like, it took me a long time. I went through a lot of hell to get to this point, but it already is worth it. So, just saying. Ideally, I would do both and find a happy middle ground, but as someone once told me, you must love yourself because if not you, then who? Interesting. My answer to that would be God, but, heaven forbid you say that. Have you tried going to the gym or exercising to improve your health? You might find your mood improves too. Very interesting. That's good advice. I would incorporate a better diet too. I think it's easier to be happier with being plus size when you know that you do stuff to take care of yourself. Okay. Interesting. Are you me? This is everything I'm struggling with and it sucks. I totally get it. The literal book, Health at Every Size, actually did help me a lot. The author debunks a lot of studies that prove that fat people can't be healthy. The things that I have expressed, you cannot escape. High estrogen, hypoventilation, fatty liver. Some people don't have fatty liver that are obese, but a lot of people do. And one of the only ways to get rid of it when you have non-alcoholic fatty liver is to lose weight. So, anyways, I do still sometimes struggle to believe it. I worry that I'm kidding myself and all these fat phobes are right. Anytime I see myself in a reflection or a photo, especially a photo, the disappointment is overwhelming. Oh, that's horrible. Oh my gosh, I just want this to stop. Ugh. But I just keep faking it until I make it. So you gaslight yourself. And I will say having the mental bandwidth to deal with that stuff because I'm not counting every calorie and every step is pretty amazing. It's not that big of a deal to count your calories. You're not constantly eating. I don't eat 24/7, you guys. I think the amount of minutes in a day that I spend counting calories is probably about 5 minutes. So if 5 minutes of time in a day is really taking that much mental bandwidth, I mean, that's really a question that I have for you. I think that is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Also, there are a lot of, like, your phone will track your steps. If you get like a Fitbit or something, if counting your steps is important to you. So you don't have to put any effort to that. That was really stupid. I've done a lot of work on my mental health since I stopped dieting. Okay. For me personally, most of my mental health work was pointless because my physical health was ruining it anyways. That's just what I've noticed. I had to do both at the same time. I think that that's really something that should be normalized, is doing both at once because it feeds into each other. I just keep reminding myself that I didn't learn to hate my body overnight, so I'm probably not going to learn to love it overnight either. Oof. Okay, we got 2 more. There are thin people that are unhealthy, unhappy, and dislike their appearance. Sure. I think it's always weird to base an answer like this on comparison. It's kind of weird, in my opinion, to start with. And plenty of fat people are healthy, happy, and like the way they look. Yes, but this person said that they didn't, and they aren't. So that's not helpful. Part of moving towards happiness is letting go of thinness being the elusive cure-all. Grass is always greener, and allowing yourself to live your full life. The gaslighting is crazy. So as far as thinness, like I said, thinness is health. It depends on how thin you are. It's too subjective of a term, but what I would consider it is healthy weight. That's what I would consider it in terms of this term. And that is not a cure-all, but is definitely a huge prevention of many, many issues. And in the issues I have discussed multiple times in this video, it is a cure-all. The hypothyroidism, the hypoventilation, the fatty liver, those are all cured by being thin. Especially if I keep my thyroid protocol going, which I plan to forever, then I should be okay on the thyroid level because the estrogen will come down. Sorry. Also the fatty liver. If I can fix my fatty liver, that helps my estrogen come down too, because your liver gets rid of excess estrogen. So it's a double whammy right now in terms of estrogen for me. So it's really important to lose weight. So it's not a cure-all, but it is certainly a cure-some. I've completely been at the place you're at. Literally feels like I could have written this word for word about 4 years ago. It takes effort to love yourself. And honestly, even amongst your struggle, it also seems like you've got the foundations. You're on a self-love journey, which isn't easy. Start small and gentle. Try to treat yourself with kindness and look after your emotional health. It's all important, and it's hard to look after your body when your mind doesn't feel deserving. I just think to do both at the same time. That's what I did. I think it's really important to do both. There's a lot of bad on the internet, but you can find so much good. See everyone on this subreddit feeling good about themselves in the Sunday selfies. Unfollow literally anyone that's just peddling unattainable aspirations. Okay. What if it's unattainable to be happy as a super morbidly obese person? Is that an unattainable aspiration? Because it certainly was for me. I was completely unhappy being super morbidly obese. I don't think there was ever a time I was happy. That's really hard to say, but it's true. And find plus size creators on social media that like the things you like, not just fashion. Hiking, biking, sewing, cooking, anything you're into, they're out there. It's good to see plus size people looking cute, but also make sure you see people that aren't focused on their body or appearance. We're allowed to look good, but we don't have to be to make other meaningful contributions to the world. That's fair enough. Move your body in any way that makes you feel good. It can be as simple or as involved as you want. The thing is, you don't have to be good at any of it. This was such an unlearning for me. Yeah, you're probably not winning any medals, but also neither is everyone else, even if some people act like it. I find it interesting how much this person compares themselves to others. I don't think that that's healthy. You're so allowed to try things, change your mind, do things slowly and cautiously. Like you said, one damn life. Okay? I feel in an okay place in my fat body after a good few years of unlearning self-hate. I read the book Eat Up by Ruby, whatever, Tando. I guess I can read that. I just skipped over it in my brain. And just in the middle of it, I realized how tired I was with obsessing about my body and how every time I ate anything, it was laden with so much pressure to be good or bad. I decided to give myself a holiday with the plan to resume the self-loathing at a later date, LOL. But that freeing, guiltless feeling snowballed and I couldn't go back. It wasn't an overnight, but training your brain to see your value in the world as possible. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I did this in terms of a caloric deficit myself. Like I told you guys, most of the time, I don't think about my body, even though I'm losing weight. I think this is really good for somebody with an ED past or an ED to just not think about your body while you're losing weight. Just look at it. I look at it in terms of numbers. I look at numbers on a screen to get me towards a health outcome. That's what I'm doing. And that's it. So I don't sit there and obsess over my body. And I just do my diet. I do my protocol, which I'm so used to it at this point. I told you guys I have candy almost every day. I don't think about good or bad, really. Like I don't care. I stay within my calories. I still lose weight. I eat a balanced diet. For me, I've noticed I do best with a mostly balanced diet with slightly more carbs. That's what works for me. You just have to find what works for you in terms of macros to stay within a deficit. And then you just kind of get into the motion of it. And it's not that difficult. And especially since I've become just morbidly obese, it's a lot easier because I'm getting healthier. So it doesn't stay as challenging as it did in the beginning. It just doesn't. So anyways, I also watched Dietland, which is a wild ride, but I felt somewhat radicalized after, and read Shrill by Lindy West. Wasn't aware of her at the time, but also recommend All Writing and Podcasting by Aubrey Gordon. Helps to unlearn the grass is greener feeling about thinness and dampen the fat is the worst thing messaging. Wow. Ooh. I'm still working on this myself. Therapy has really helped me. I used to avoid mirrors. Now I will look at myself a few times a day and try to find 5 things I like when I see myself. See, I don't know. To me, that's kind of like another compulsion. I just don't agree with that. That's just my opinion, though. I think it's really good to just be neutral. Like, I like being able to, for the most part, see myself in the mirror and not think anything. Like, I would say probably 7 times out of 10, if I look in the mirror, I don't think anything at all. I'm so desensitized to it, I don't even think about it. And then if I do look at it, like I said, I was triggered a bit by looser skin. It's not super loose or anything. It's shaped differently. It's weird. I'm still fat, so I still have quite a bit of fat, but it's like I will look at that sometimes. But I try not to fixate on it too long. And then yeah, I feel like I just look at myself kind of objectively. Like I'll say, oh, I look good in this way, or I look worse. Like I tend to look at myself because I'm monitoring my health, because a lot of my journey, I'm doing research on it too, in a sense. So it's kind of like that self-experimentation and documentation where I do my videos where I talk about it. So I will look at myself and be like, how hypo do I look today? How dark are the bags under my eyes? How gray is my skin versus how gold? It's like I kind of look because it fluctuates a lot. And so I monitor. So it's more of like a monitoring how I look rather than like a feeling really strongly about it thing. I just think it's good to have less feelings about your body. That's my opinion. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is kind of interesting to kind of go through. I know a lot of you guys just like to listen. So let me know what you think, and I will talk to you guys again very soon. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. Have a good one. Bye, you guys.